Welcome back, everyone. We're with the developers of the game Caduceus by Wolverine Soft Studios. So, if you'd like to give an introduction again, then feel free to.
Sounds great. Hi, everybody. It's me, Amber again, President, Studio Director of Wolverine Soft. For this project, I was the producer, and I also did a bit of art. I did the cover art. But yeah, that's me.
My name is Nigel. I was the programming director for Caduceus.
My name is George, and I was the lead level designer and the associate art director on Caduceus.
And my name is Brandon, and I was the lead designer for Caduceus.
I like we have the concept art again for this game. This evil defeated statue is fantastic. I think it's great.
Someone in the chat also said Produceus, which I think is really funny.
It's very ripe with puns potential. Second to scroll back up, and then we'll begin with the game. So let's start. Oh, there we go. A little bit of a hitch there, but I think we should be good to go. All right, so you guys can start and tell us about the design process of this game. I really like the one thing that I will say off the bat. I really like the kind of steampunk-esque aesthetic with gears and machinery wrapping around everywhere.
Yeah, take it away, Brandon, our design director.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, in terms of what you mentioned about the art, that was really what our style was going for. We were sort of going for like this grimy, mechanical, industrial, but also mix in sort of like the heavenly part of it, or like the godlike part of it, because as you play, you are playing Hermes. And yeah, we wanted to have some godlike to it. And so yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say Alex, our art director who can't be here, really helped us in establishing that style and kind of pushing that vision forward there.
Yeah, so right now you're going through the tutorial, and this part was a little bit strange, so we added a little elevator back here just in case you couldn't do that. But back there, if you you can actually jump up and sort of melee enemies within midair, and it would pop you up.
Very cool.
But yeah, in terms of the game past the tutorial, really the design we were going for was really giving as much power and freedom to the player as possible in terms of how they play the game. And we realized that was actually like a very hard task. Although we did get really some good distance in terms of reaching that goal. But the premise of the game is basically there's not too much narrative going on with it. There's not too much that the player really knows what's going on. But more or less, there are these dungeons that you were attempting to go through, and you are trying to reach the end and kill monsters in the way that are, these Greek mythology type monsters. And at the end, you sort of get a decision as to the little piece of narrative that you get, that maybe what you're working towards is not necessarily the right thing. And so you get a choice really to like either, set this thing that's captive free or destroy it. And that thing is like a big god-like essence that Zeus has captured and is using to drain his energy to produce rain for the world.
So I think it's really interesting that kind of seeing that, like the idea of that final decision being very impactful. I think that is really cool. And I think you probably saw me marveling at the shopkeeper. Like that was really like that. The detail on the shopkeeper was super cool.
So I think basically the gameplay, the way that the gameplay goes is each level there's actually there's a chance to be a key, and then as well as a lever that you're walking up to right now, and that's actually what's going to activate that elevator that you were standing on.
I was wondering, I was like, wait.
Yeah. So you're supposed to go throughout this dungeon collecting these keys, activating these elevators, basically climbing your way all the way to the top. And we wanted to, we placed those keys there in order for the player to be encouraged to explore the area and all that kind of stuff. And you actually must have those keys in order to get sort of into the last final fighting area where you do make that big decision. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the design and the implementation of that design, I will say it was definitely a harder task than it was for circuitry. It was the first time, at least for me, that I was working on a 3D game. And that definitely proved to be a lot harder than a 2D game. As well as this was the first original game that I had been a part of, an original idea. And boy, did that also turn out to be quite the task.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Sorry, speaking to that a little bit more, a lot of our earlier games, we had kind of something to look back to as our inspiration. With circuitry, it was our closest inspiration. We were basically just recreating Nuclear Throne as a case study and putting our own twist on it here or there. But for the most part, we were very closely following Nuclear Throne's design. For Bloom, it was a very close copy of retro FPS mechanics in like Doom or Dusk, and previous games, similar things. We were really pulling from maybe one or two examples. But this was our first game we were really leaning more into novel mechanics. And yeah, like Brandon said, it made for a lot of difficulties throughout development. But yeah.
Let me also jump in really quick and just mention that it's not immediately obvious, but this is procedurally generated, and every time you play it, it will be different. And the members actually spent so much time on the level generation, and George can definitely speak to that because he was leading that effort. So just want to give a shout out to the level design team on this game.
Yes, yeah, we would spend like 10 hours a week just solely working on the level generator together, doing pair programming stuff. It was a lot of fun to work on though, and figuring out how we would do procedural generation in 3D and how we would try and create this maze like that, what that would be like. Yeah.
I genuinely did not notice that it was. I thought that this was like a pre-made level because of how like well put together it was.
Yeah, no. What we did for this is similar to the way that the Binding of Isaac recreated its levels. In fact, we used that, like we were watching videos like from the programmer of how they put together their level generator of creating a pre-made room, designing enemy placements inside of those rooms, and then stitching different rooms together in order to make a level. And that's what we did for here, but of course we adapted it because these aren't really rooms, they don't have walls, and the player can come at them from any direction because of that. And then also they're much smaller, and they're not like individual encounters. It's more of like, here's where an enemy could spawn, and then we set different spawn rates for the different enemies and such, and things like that.
I can see like wires connecting like over here. And I was just wondering if that's like part of the procedural generation, or if it's or if that's just like a part of that specific tile.
That's actually just part of that specific tile. Kind of what we wanted it to feel like is inside of the different tiles, they'll be broken up like that, where it seems like if you know that it's a procedural generator, right, you might be like, oh, well, how did they connect those different ones? But no, it's just the tiles are rather large-ish for that, and so we can have multiple things inside of that connect to each other and makes the space feel less like it was procedurally generated and such. And then also having similar elements throughout the different rooms really helped to tie them together.
Sir, you might need to go back to the hub because this seems like an impossible generation.
No, I think there's a second elevator that's right there up ahead of you that you need to get onto.
Yep, that might be it.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. It's a question. I think it's coming down. Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
you can't
Oh.
jump on that.
Wow, that's
There's-
very unfortunate. I have not
Yeah.
seen this happen before. I think it's because the
That's how
animations of the
procedural
elevators are
generation is.
unsynced. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. Of course, the one time we go and showcase it at an event, it doesn't work. But yeah.
Remind me how to get back to the hub area.
Yeah. So if you open up the menu with escape, there should
Oh,
be a
perfect. There it is. There we go.
Just
Hey, buddy.
because you're, I don't know why he's T-posing, but just because you're back here, I figured I'd give a notice because you said something about the shopkeeper before about the art being very good. For all of the characters, we actually purchased an asset for that. We don't have a lot of 3D modelers on our team, so all of their time was taken up on doing environment art. So for the characters, we had to outsource the art for that.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with level 2. Just see something new. So, what were some of the oh, there I go. Oh, there I go again. There we go. That works.
Oh, your health.
Oh yeah, I should probably drink something.
Oh,
Got it. There we go. We good.
But yeah. Like,
good.
development as a whole on this game was definitely, like, a pretty big challenge. And there were a lot of reasons for that. Of course, like, the remote nature of everything being one of them. But also, Brandon was kind of alluding to this, I think, when he was speaking earlier. But this was, like, a very ambitious and completely original pitch, so we didn't really have anything to work off of as reference. And we had to make, like, quite a few scope changes over time, so we ended up with quite a big challenge on our plates. But you see, like, at the end, everything worked out really nicely, and that's largely due in thanks to, like, the leads here who put in so much effort. So Nigel, George, and Brandon, really, really great stuff. And a lot of people who aren't here today as well, who put in a lot of time and effort. Development was not easy, but, you know, we pulled through.
And especially with, like, a project like this, where you mentioned earlier that it wasn't 3D wasn't necessarily something that you had much experience with. So seeing this kind of, like, come to life in a way must have been. And I do think one really cool thing is the fact that you mentioned that, or one thing that you mentioned that I'm seeing is the verticality of the game. With this and Bloom, both were very vertical games, but with Bloom it was kind of like each level had verticality inside of it. But with this one, you're climbing up floors, and it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, so that was I could be wrong, honestly. I might have forgotten, but I think a large majority of the reason why we went with a vertical approach, we had been thinking of a more horizontal approach, and even maybe a vertical approach in terms of going downwards. But I think mixed in with the fact that we had some sort of desire to go up, you know, we wanted it to be like you were sort of ascending as you got more powerful, all that kind of stuff. It also just worked out really a lot better for our procedural generator than doing something that was very sprawling horizontally, or going down in that sense.
Cool to hear that it, like, ended up actually working out in y'all's favor.
Yeah. Some issues with the design of, like, trying to go down is like, oh well, how do we prevent the player from just jumping down into another level or something, you know, because we wanted to have it sectioned off so the player had to go somewhere, explore before they could progress. So yeah, we had to switch instead the way that we were generating the levels, and it really helped.
I've seen that happen in some speedruns of games, so I understand that here entirely. We unfortunately we are coming up on the end of the showcase for this game, so are there any closing remarks that you all would like to give? Any sort of shout out?
I personally would like to just give a shout out to practically everyone that worked on this, because, like we've been saying, it was a rough studio, and I'm really thankful that everybody stuck with it and kept producing and kept developing, even though everything was extremely hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely at least grateful for the programming team, the ones that stuck through it to the very end. This wouldn't have been possible without them.
Yeah, I want to shout out all of the art team members who did their best in 3D because it's not our expertise, and I just want to say you all did a great job in that. And also a big thank you to all of the other level design programmers who struggled with me through trying to get our level generator to work for this project.
And I'll close it off by saying, along with all the other members and our mentors, again, a big thank you to the leads because they have to shoulder like a huge amount of responsibility on these projects and put in so much time, and it's just really admirable how much dedication you guys have for the studio and for giving a great experience to everybody. So thank you so much.
And thank you for submitting your game, for all of your games actually, and coming by and talking with us. We had a lot of fun, and we are very excited to be able to show this to as many people as possible. Feel free to talk about it more in the Summit Discord, and also, thank you very much for talking with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
No problem. The next game that we're having up is Terra Nova by University of Central Florida, so stay tuned.